Video 12. What is a literature matrix and why you need one? This is part of our literature review and discovery series. Here's the core problem we're solving. Researchers lack a systematic way to organize and compare papers. You read dozens of papers, take scattered notes, and when it comes time to synthesize, you can't see the patterns. The literature matrix solves this. It's simple in concept, but powerful in execution. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to build one and why it will change how you do literature reviews. The problem is straightforward but devastating for research productivity. Researchers lack a systematic way to organize and compare papers. Let me describe what most researchers' notes actually look like. You read a paper, you highlight some passages, maybe you write notes in the margin, or in a separate document, or in a reference manager. You move on to the next paper and do the same thing. Multiply this by 50 papers, and what do you have? A collection of disconnected observations with no standard structure. When it comes time to synthesize, you're trying to hold everything in your head. You're flipping between papers, trying to remember who said what. You have a vague sense that multiple papers found similar things, but you can't quickly identify which ones. Here's the deeper problem. The traditional approach treats each paper as an isolated unit, but literature reviews are about patterns across papers, where studies agree, disagree, and what gaps exist. These patterns are invisible when your notes are scattered. Think about it. If someone asked you right now, how many of the papers you've read used qualitative methods versus quantitative, you probably couldn't answer without going back through all your notes. With a literature matrix, you can answer that in seconds. The question isn't whether to organize systematically, it's how, and that's what the literature matrix provides. The solution is the literature matrix, a structured table for organizing what you extract from papers. Here's the structure. Columns represent key variables you're extracting. Rows represent individual papers. That's it. Simple concept, powerful execution. The magic isn't in the format, it's in the standardization. When you extract the same information from every paper in the same structure, patterns become visible that were invisible before. Let me give you a concrete example. Say you're reviewing literature on remote work productivity. Your columns might include author, year, sample size, industry, method, main finding, effect size, limitations. When you fill in this matrix for 30 papers, patterns jump out immediately. Most studies are from tech industry. Sample sizes range from 50 to 5,000. Survey methods dominate. 2/3 find positive effects. These patterns would take hours to identify from scattered notes. They take seconds to see in a matrix. And here's why this matters beyond just organization. These patterns become the structure of your literature review. You can write a paragraph about methodological trends because you can see them. You can identify gaps because missing cells are obvious. You can spot contradictions because conflicting findings are side by side. The matrix doesn't just organize your notes. It reveals what your literature review should say. Let me show you a framework for thinking about what goes in your matrix. Think of it in 4 quadrants of information priority. High priority items get strategic focus and immediate action. These are your core columns: citation, method, sample, main findings. You extract these for every paper. Some items you can delegate to AI assistants with efficient handoff, things like extracting specific statistics or summarizing method sections. Other items you might develop over time, building capability as you learn what patterns matter for your specific question. And some extraction can be automated entirely, systematic and repeatable pulls of structured information. The key is starting with the essentials. You can always add columns later, but a matrix with 20 columns that's only half filled is less useful than a matrix with 8 columns that's complete. Let me give you a template for essential columns. Step 1. Citation information, author, year, title, and a link or DOI for quick access. This seems obvious, but many people skip it and then spend 20 minutes trying to find where they read something. Step 2. Research design. What was the method? Who was the sample? What was the setting? This is crucial for methodological synthesis. When you can see that 80% of studies use surveys, you've identified both a finding and potentially a gap. Step 3. Key findings, main results, effect sizes if quantitative, key themes if qualitative. This is the substance of your synthesis. Be specific here, not just positive relationship, but r equals 0.45 comma p .001. Step 4. Your assessment, quality rating, key limitations, relevance to your specific question. This is where your expertise comes in. You're not just recording what papers say, you're evaluating them. This four-step structure works for almost any literature review. You can customize from here, but don't overcomplicate it at the start. Pro tip: use consistent coding. Instead of writing survey in one cell and questionnaire in another, pick one term and stick with it. This makes filtering and pattern identification much easier. Another tip: add a notes column for things that don't fit elsewhere. Sometimes you read something interesting that might be relevant later. Capture it, but don't clutter your main columns. The impact of using a literature matrix goes beyond just organization. You understand how to structure literature organization in a way that reveals patterns. This skill transfers to every future literature review you do. When you can scan a column and instantly identify trends, gaps, and contradictions, you're not just organized, you're equipped to synthesize. The matrix also becomes a living document. As you find new papers, you add new rows. The structure stays consistent, so new information integrates seamlessly. And here's where AI becomes powerful. AI can help you populate the matrix. You define the structure, AI helps extract the information. We'll cover this in detail in video 15 on paper summarization prompts. Let's recap the key takeaways from this video. First, the problem is real. Researchers lack a systematic way to organize and compare papers, leading to scattered notes and invisible patterns. This isn't a personal failing, it's a structural problem with how we're taught to take notes. Second, the solution is structured. A literature matrix with columns for key variables and rows for papers gives you standardized extraction. Simple concept, powerful execution. Third, understanding literature organization transforms synthesis. When patterns are visible, writing becomes dramatically easier. You're not trying to remember everything. You're reading what's right in front of you. Start simple. 5 to 8 columns covering citation, method, sample, findings, and your assessment. You can always add columns later. Build the matrix as you read, not after. Don't read 20 papers and then try to fill in a matrix from memory. Extract while each paper is fresh. The literature matrix will feel like extra work at first, but by your third or fourth literature review using this method, you'll wonder how you ever did it any other way. Here's what I want you to remember. The literature matrix isn't just an organizational tool, though it is that. It's an analytical tool. It doesn't just help you manage information. It helps you see patterns you couldn't see otherwise. Where do studies agree? Where do they disagree? What populations are understudied? What methods dominate? These questions become answerable at a glance when your information is structured. In the next video, we'll explore semantic search versus keyword search, understanding why semantic search finds papers that traditional approaches miss. Welcome back to the Impact or Invisible series. This content is drawn from the book Impact or Invisible: Surviving the Data Age with AI by Angel Reyes. The research landscape has changed forever, and today we're going to give you one of the most powerful tools for navigating that change. If you watched the previous video on the new literature review workflow, you heard me mention the literature matrix. Today we're going deep on what that actually means and why it transforms how you organize and synthesize research. For the complete methodology, get Impact or Invisible: Surviving the Data Age with AI by Angel Reyes. The book covers not just literature matrices, but the entire research workflow, from discovery through publication. Available on Amazon, link in the description. Next up is video 13 on semantic search versus keyword search. If you've ever wondered why your searches miss relevant papers, that video explains why and what to do about it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.